Good morning, y'all. Welcome to another video on the Luderco Arms channel. So we've got the Dodge in the shop with the old 3.7 liter Magnum V-6, and so I bought this truck this year. It's got 105,000 miles on it, somewhere thereabouts. It's an 06 model. Anyway, I have no idea if and when the spark plugs were ever replaced on this thing. So the book says they're supposed to be replaced every 30,000 miles, which I was kind of surprised at, but hey, that's what the book says. And since I don't know if they've ever been replaced, and I have my doubts, I figure I'm going to go ahead and replace them. So I went to Rock Auto and I got a set of NKG spark plugs for it. And while I was there, they had these coil packs on sale. This V6 uses the coil on plug type setup, so there's no spark plug wires or distributor, and this, when it's in the engine, just snaps right on top of the spark plug and has a bolt and a wiring connection. I got a good deal on them. I think I only ended up paying like 16 bucks a piece for these coils. So I figured, since every time you pull them off you have a chance to damage this boot, and I got a good price on them, I just went ahead and bought a whole set. So I'm going to go ahead and replace those too while we're at it. Like I said, it's not really acting like it. I mean, it's not, there's no problem with the truck, but at least now I'll know they're done, so I'll know when to do them again. So I've already checked the gap on all these spark plugs. They come pre-gapped from the factory, from NKG. The gap for the 3.7 liter is 0.042. So I have literally like 20 spark plug gauges. None of them have that reading on them. But I did have this one, and it's got 0.040 and 0.044. So the 040 fit all of them a little loose, and the 044 won't go in them at all. So that tells me they ought to be right around 042, close enough. So those are all ready to go in. So the first step to change these is we're going to have to get this airbox out of our way. And you're going to need a 10mm socket on a ratchet for this bolt right here. And then I believe there's two clamps. There's one here and there's one behind it that goes onto the throttle body, and it's kind of hard to see, but it is back there. There's an electrical connection here, and then there's one more 10mm bolt underneath this hose. So these clamps are 5/16. So let me set this here, grab my ratchet, pull this one off. There's our two 10mm bolts. And we'll swap to the 5/16 socket. We'll loosen that clamp. And then we'll come around here and try to get on this clamp back here. You can just see it right there. I can't remember if I had to use an extension or not to get on that thing the last time I took this off. Yep. Alright. Let me grab an extension so I can get on that thing. Okay, so I ended up using an extension. That way I could get the ratchet out to the side where I could get up in there on that. Got that loose, so we're good there. Now, only other thing I think is this. There's a plug right here that's got to come out, and that should be it. There it is. Alright, so we're going to take that plug right there off, and then we should be able to wiggle this thing off of here. Just like that. All right, with the air box out of our way, now we can see up in here, and we can see that we have coil pack here, here, right there, and 3 on the other side. And then the spark plugs are underneath them. And we will, looks like almost need a 10mm socket on those. So let me grab that. We'll get this front one here first. We'll get down on the little bolt on it. That may not be the right size. Or it may be that they, well, that one was loose. That's never a good sign. All right, let's get these. That could be a problem. So, Dodge kindly put this bracket right over the top of the nut there, and I cannot get my socket off of there, so now I got to kind of hand screw that down until I can get my socket back off of it. There we go. And then, yeah, reach down in here and unscrew it the rest of the way with my fingers and hope it comes all the way off, because I don't have a lot of room to get my fingers down in here. Looks like the other ones will be much easier. I'm kind of glad I did the hardest one to get to first. Okay, there we go. Once you got that off, need to take the wire connector off of the coil, and it looks like it's just a push it down and pull it off kind of deal. There we go. So that's off, and then you can kind of twist this and pull it up out of there like that. Now, see all this green right here? That tells me it's probably a good idea that we're going on and changing these, because that is corrosion. Alright, so now that we got the coil up out of the hole, we're going to need to get the spark plug out of the hole. So for that, you're going to need a 5/8 spark plug wrench and an extension and a ratchet. So we're going to drop this down in the hole that we pulled the coil out of, and then unscrew it. I am not a big fan of spark plugs down in holes where I can't see them. But there we go, we got it out. Alright, let's go over to the table and take a look at this one and see what it looks like. Not too bad. Not too bad. I think that's probably been in there for a while though. It's a Champion. Let me see. And the coil pack I pulled out looks like it might be a Denso. I'm not sure if it's a replacement or not, but it's getting replaced. So there's the first one. So we'll go ahead, take our new spark plug, put it on there. Now NKG says you don't need to use never seize on their plugs. And I will go ahead and trust them that I don't need to put never seize on this plug. So we've got it in our spark plug socket, which will hold on to it because it's got like a piece of rubber up inside of it that kind of grabs the plug, and we'll drop her down in this hole. And then you always want to start plugs by hand, and you can pretty much screw them almost all the way down by hand. You shouldn't have to put a lot of torque and everything on this thing and kill it to get it in there. So, alright, that one is down. And then the other thing is, they don't take a whole lot of torque to tighten. Just like that. We got that in. Now we'll grab our new coil pack. And drop it down in there. Being sure to keep it lined up where your bolt part, your there, where it'll go over your stud. And then you'll feel it when it clicks and bottoms out and it's on there. And then we'll take our little nut and put it on the stud. And I'm going to tighten it down as far as I can with my fingers because I can't get my socket on it until it's down in there a ways. There we go. Tighten that on down and put our clip back on. And so there's one. Now we'll just move on to the next one and get all of these done. So let me get my knee pad and I'll be right back. So if you're wondering why I need my knee pad, I'm kneeling right here and laying over the top of this to get to these things. So that's why I needed the knee pad, because it's not super comfortable on an old man's knees. So we're going to finish out these two back here, and then trying to get this where you can just maybe see what I'm doing. So we're going to finish those two, then we'll swap to this other side. Let's knock it on out. All right, we've got those all replaced now. 6 new spark plugs, 6 new coils. All we've got left to do now is put the air box back on and she'll be good to go. So let me clear some of this stuff out of here and I'll bring you back for that. Okay, when you go to put this air box back on, basically the first thing you got to worry about is getting your 2 hoses started. So you got to kind of poke that in there and then make sure the back one slides in its place. And then right here in the front, you've got a pin. You got a pin right here that drops into a hole that lines everything up. So you make sure both of your hoses are on, and they are, but my clamp has come. No, it's right. Okay. Yep. So both of my hoses are on. Now you want to, gosh dang it. The other thing you want to make sure is that this electrical plug gets plugged back in, because if it doesn't, it will make a check engine light pop up. So plug that back in and then grab your tools. Get your 5/16 socket. Go ahead and tighten your hoses down. There we go. Then you got to get your 2 little bolts back in. One here. And the one over here up under the pipe. You can reach it from the back. Get those 2 in and hand started, and then you can just take your ratchet and run them on down. And that's that. And it's a good thing, because the battery in the camera is about to die. So there we go. 6 spark plugs replaced, 6 coils replaced, everything back together, good to go. And that is how you do it. So a couple of notes. Like I said, the NKG plugs you don't need to use never sees with. That's NKG saying that, and I'm going to trust them because I've never had a problem with them. And the other thing I may not have mentioned, when I gapped all the spark plugs, I also put some dielectric grease on the rubber ends of the coil packs to try to prevent, see all that nasty greenness right there? Every one of these coil packs is full of that. Like I said, they weren't causing a problem that I noticed. The truck was running fine, but it was definitely time to get something done. The spark plugs don't actually look bad. They're all good color. There's no damage. All of the gaps have opened up as expected with spark plugs that are old, but no real problems there. So I don't expect this to make a huge difference in driving the truck, but like I said, truck has 105,000 miles on it, and I don't know when they were replaced. So now I do, and that is that. So appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully this has helped somebody out, gave you an idea what you're in for, what you need to do the job, and we will see you in the next video. Y'all have a good one.